Alright, guys. Well, just for you guys to see. Welcome to the show. Thanks for joining us here. As always, let us begin by looking at the latest cases of COVID-19. I know I got a lot to say about the Washington mob here, but we're going to get to that a little bit later. We're now getting close to 32,000 cases, 3 deaths. That makes it close to 600. 1.99 in the state of Texas, getting close to 2 million, 30,773 deaths, 22.6 million total cases in the United States, 370K, 1777, 90.8 worldwide, 50.2 have recovered, and the deaths here at 194. The biggest one has to be in California, from my perspective. They're getting close to 1 million. I mean, went out up to 129K, which that is a big problem here. But as you might expect, it is a big issue here. So right now what we're dealing with here is this guy who came back, who lives in Oasis County, went to the UK, and he came back ill. But 3 News has learned there's more to this guy. Here's what we know from Woody Trevino.
Football season is here, and so is the NFL Network on YouTube TV.
He's communicating with a local man. What?
A more contagious variant, or version of the coronavirus that first popped up in the UK. Back to the coastal bend. It is our top story.
So here's Woody Trevino.
Well, he's recovering pretty good.
That's Dr. Shrikant Ramachandruni. He's communicating with a local man. What we know is the patient came back to Oasis County between the 29th and 31st of December. He told local doctors he was fine before he left the UK.
He was tested negative the day before he embarked in UK.
The man then immediately quarantined in his home in Corpus Christi and has remained there and has been in communication with the health authority.
From what I was told, his symptoms are almost gone, and he'll be finishing the quarantine very soon. The date, of course, we're trying to figure out from the onset of his symptoms. Usually we do 10 days, but in his case, probably we might do 14 days quarantine.
3 News has found out late this afternoon the patient traveled via an airline to Dallas from the UK, then traveled by car back to Corpus Christi. In the meantime, with this variant now here, Dr. Ram says staying vigilant is more important than ever, urging residents to continue to mask up and practice social distancing.
What we know from this virus is it's exactly behaving like the previous COVID virus that we have in the United States, in terms of the severity, in terms of the risk of death.
Dr. Ram tells 3 News the variant does not increase the risk of death or cause more severe symptoms, but it is easier to transmit it to someone else. Rudy Trevino, 3 News.
So here's the thing, if you see that guy or come anywhere near him, stay away. Wear a mask at all times. Do not go near him. Especially for you people out there who have a medical condition, you cannot wear a mask. Stay away from him. Don't sleep with him. Do not sleep with him. Do not go out to a movie, to a park, to one of my street concerts, or me going out and playing guitar. Don't do that. Don't go near him. The cases are on the rise, and for you guys, what you have to do is make sure that you need to stay 6 feet apart at all times. Just make sure if it's that we don't have to go through this again. And for me sitting up here saying this, I'm not the bad guy. I'm trying to keep everyone safe here. So unless you want this crap to happen again, what you need to do is start realizing this. Wear a mask and stay 6 feet apart at all times. That's the bottom line. Stay with us. There's more to come when we return. Education right now. CCISD is now filling up the District 4 seat on the school board. Who is that? Here's the latest.
In the CCISD, trustees have appointed someone to fill the District 4 seat. Consultant and community volunteer Dale Gonzalez Trolley was appointed to the seat formerly held by Catherine Susser, and she, you'll remember, resigned back in November of last year. Trolley's term expires in November of 2022, and she will formally be sworn in at the board's next meeting.
And I'll be there virtually to give you the very latest. Back to the COVID-19, there is a couple.
A Corpus Christi couple who've been together for nearly 3 decades.
For nearly 3 decades, this couple continues to battle through the COVID.
A Corpus Christi couple who've been together for nearly 3 decades are separated tonight.
They're separated. Here's the latest from 3
Separated
News.
tonight. It wasn't by choice. The husband is in ICU tonight battling COVID-19. Our Julissa Garza shares their
Here's
story
Julissa
with
Garza.
us.
Meet Paul and Val Moya. They've been together since they were 16 years old. They have 4 children. Their loved ones say their love for each other is once in a lifetime.
The love that they have, the way they look at each other, the way they hold each other.
Paul Moya is battling COVID-19. He's been in the hospital since January 1st, battling pneumonia in the ICU.
Several times I had to call 911 to come check his oxygen, and then finally the second time actually, they just took him, and he's been there since.
But on Wednesday, things took a turn for the worse. Doctors telling his wife Val he needed to be put in a medically induced coma.
They're already telling Val that she needs to prepare herself for the worst, but we have faith.
Faith is exactly what his wife and all of his loved ones are holding on to.
While he's there unconscious, while he's in a coma, and she's praying to him and she's pleading with him to come home to fight, and she prays over him and she prays to him, and the kids get on the phone and they say, "Daddy, we love you."
Val says they're always together, and even with him being in the hospital, she makes sure that he hears her voice every night, sharing this message to her husband and lifelong partner.
I love him, and to fight this because we're waiting for him. Everyone is praying for him, and everyone loves him.
And for others who have a loved one fighting for their lives against COVID-19, she says, don't give up.
And the ones who are fighting or in the same boat with me, don't give up on your family member or your loved ones, because we can do it. We can beat it.
Julissa Garza, 3 News.
Fight this thing. Fight it with all your life. So that we can live our healthy lives and go back to doing the things that we love most. Now it's about the cold versus COVID-19 for the homeless. Here's the latest from Channel 6.
Hi,
So what is the difference? A cold is just like a regular flu, like being sick at all times, but the COVID is just the real thing. Here's the latest.
At our local homeless shelters on this awfully chilly evening, it turns out that they have different rules in place when it comes to COVID-19, and it could mean that some folks are left out in the cold. Our Seth Kovar joins us now live from the Good Samaritan shelter. And Seth, what do you have there?
well, Katia, let me tell you, it's pretty chilly out here. The weather,
Yeah.
yes, the temperature cold, but there's a flag right behind photographer Dennis here, and it is not whipping. We're being saved by that. You still, though, would not want to spend all night long out in it, and that's likely why a lot of folks are here at Good Sam. COVID-19 is why some people probably aren't here.
I came here because I
Here's
thought
Seth
it'd be
Gilmore.
warm.
But after a month and a half of living on the Corpus Christi streets, the man who just wants to be called Ronald got a chilling reality. It can get cold here.
It's rough. It's, it's not fun. Just try to stay moving,
Tonight he's moved, for the first time, into the Salvation Army shelter, where they keep people free of the cold, and hopefully, COVID-19.
If somebody's not
Yes.
exhibiting any symptoms, we are trusting in good faith that they don't have it. If they wear the mask and we continue to spray down things, clean things like we're supposed to, so far it has worked.
And that's not all. The shelter keeps people who are just escaping the cold for a night separate from the shelter's more permanent residents.
We had a couple of cold weather nights during December, and so far we have had no COVID cases still. And the people that were wanting to come in, they were able to come in.
But if you come in without a negative COVID-19 test over at the Good Samaritan shelter, good luck. A leader there told me today that if you want to stay there, you have to provide proof that your negative test came within 72 hours of check-in. The Salvation Army says they'd consider a negative test requirement if more free rapid testing was available. Test or no test, Ronald's just looking forward to something he can't take for granted after a night on the cold, hard streets.
Just waking up tomorrow, I guess.
Well, a leader here at Good Sam told me that around 130 people were going to spend the night here. That's actually considerably fewer than on cold nights in years past. I wanted to find out if the COVID-19 testing requirement was the reason for that, but my attempts to get an interview or a follow-up phone call didn't get returned today. Reporting live in Corpus Christi, Seth Kovar, Chris 6 News.
All right, Seth, thank you.
Our thanks to Seth Cover on that. And it is really cold. So make sure you wear a jacket. Stay with us. We'll be right back. There's still more on this Washington mob, and we brought you the very latest on Give Me a Break Saturday. But there's still more. Democrats unveiled the article of impeachment against Trump for inciting that violent mob. But there's a twist to it. Mike Pence, who is the vice president, will have to vote on this. What does that mean? Here's the latest from CBS News.
To impeach the president, but first, they're going to vote tomorrow to urge the vice president to push Mr. Trump out himself. But White House sources tell us that Mr. Pence isn't considering it and never has. House Democrats made it official today.
The House will be in order.
Introducing a resolution urging Vice President Mike Pence to activate the 25th Amendment.
To declare President Donald J. Trump incapable of executing the duties of his office.
The vote will come tomorrow, and if Vice President Pence does not respond, Democrats move to Phase 2 on Wednesday.
We have more than a majority to pass the article of impeachment.
California's Ted Lieu co-authored the impeachment resolution, which argues that President Trump gravely endangered the security of the United States last Wednesday.
I heard a lot of Republicans saying that this would hamper unity in Congress and in the country. What's your reaction to that?
The best way to heal and unify our nation is to hold accountable those who attacked our Capitol and those who incited that attack. That begins at the very top, starting with Donald Trump.
We're going to walk down to the Capitol.
President Trump, banned from Twitter, has not expressed remorse over the uprising. In fact, he presented a Medal of Freedom today to Congressman Jim Jordan, who helped lead the charge last week to contest the election without proof of widespread fraud.
Americans instinctively know there was something wrong with this election.
Today, Airbnb joined the growing list of companies vowing to withhold support from Republicans who voted against the certification of the presidential election results. Hallmark even asked 2 senators to refund its donations. Missouri Senator Josh Hawley is now facing calls to resign in his hometown paper and on the streets of St. Louis.
I would like a person to lose power when he misuses power.
The organizers of the PGA Championship have pulled out of plans to host the tournament at President Trump's Bedminster Golf Club next year. House Democrats say if they impeach him this week, they intend to send the article to the Senate right away, meaning a trial could get underway just as President-elect Biden is taking office.
Ready.
Mr. Biden said today he's been discussing a workaround with congressional leaders.
The question is whether or not you can bifurcate this. Can you go half day on dealing with the impeachment and half day getting my people nominated and confirmed in the Senate?
New Jersey Democrat Bonnie Watson Coleman announced today that she tested positive after sheltering with several colleagues who refused to wear masks. Video from last week shows a group of House Republicans rejecting masks while they were being held in close quarters for hours with nowhere to go. White House sources tell us the PGA decision infuriated Mr. Trump. The big question now, how many of his fellow Republicans will vote this week in favor of the 25th Amendment, impeachment, or both? Nora?
Makes the next couple days very interesting. Nancy Cordes, thank you.
So when tomorrow comes, that could mean that either Pence will impeach him or they'll move on to phase 2. And if that happens, at least we'll know. When we come back, teachers adopt the lesson plans and how to talk to your kids about this riot. All teachers are doing it, so parents, how can you talk to your kids about the riots? Stay tuned. Welcome back. Teachers, how are you planning to adopt the lesson plans to the Solid Capital? And parents, how can you talk to your children about this? Here again is the very latest from CBS News.
Teachers are tasked with discussing monumental current events with students of all ages. Well, following the assault on the Capitol, they adapted with new lessons. CBS's Nancy Chen has more.
As Americans process the deadly assault on Capitol Hill, classes around the country are pivoting from studying lessons in textbooks to history in the making.
What might be a better way for you to stand up for yourself?
Become a better person.
John Schmidt woke up early the day after the attack to craft a new lesson plan for his 11th grade history class in New York.
Just let the students share. They were really angry. Social emotional learning is just as important as learning about like the American Revolution.
For many teachers, the Capitol chaos highlights the importance of an inclusive education.
If you tell a story that leaves out the people of color, if you then have a citizenry that doesn't see those people as included as American, and I think that a small piece of what we saw is due to those people's educational experiences.
Quinn Rollins High School U.S. history students near Salt Lake City discussed the definition of words like insurrection and what it means to be an ethical leader, a conversation that gave Rollins hope.
If anybody's going to overcome the divisions we see in our country right now, it's going to be them. I think this country's in very good hands. We just have to teach those hands how to do it.
Lessons in history for us all. Nancy Chen, CBS News, New York.
Children are always watching.
Yes, they are. And I'm always watching too. So, basically that's basically all, but the very latest is still happening. So what can that mean if the Trump's impeached for a second time? Well, he didn't get impeached the first time because they just let him go. they probably just let him go, and then second time comes, the president's like, okay, let's impeach him the second time. And then if that's going to happen, then what would really happen here is that if it did, a lot of controversy, if the vice president did, and I think Trump will be impeached. If not, phase 1 of the plan will be, then phase 1 will be put into motion. And I'm afraid for that to happen. So coming up Wednesday, I'll give me a break. I'm going to give you the very latest on that impeachment. And then coming up tomorrow, I'll give me a break right now. What the latest on that impeachment and what it could be. That's tomorrow. Also, come up on Wednesday, the school lunches. Why? Going back to our very first topic in our very first season about school lunches, we're going to look at some articles. We're going to look at some articles about parents who are outraged about the school lunches, kids' reactions to it, and the main reason why they skip class to go to get regular food. That's tomorrow. That's Wednesday. Then on Friday. Then on Friday, what happened after Trump got impeached? Then what happened? Then on Thursday, what happened after Trump got impeached? Is he still the president? What will Joe Biden say? And what about that wall? That's Friday. That's our plans for this week. And that's all. This is edition of Give Me a Break Monday. We'll see you again. I'll see you again tomorrow. We give you a break right now for the very latest on Trump's impeachment. Have a good night, everyone. Please take care of yourself and each other. Good night.